It's 6 o'clock, so I will call to order the meeting, regular meeting of the Rutland Town Select Board. Today is June 3rd, 2024. We have a full select board this evening. Kurt Hathaway, Joe Denardo. Oh, wait a minute. I was going to start at your end. Sharon Russell, Matt Getty, Mary Ashcroft, Joe Denardo, and Kurt Russell. Kurt Hathaway. Almost did it again. We've had a long meeting already. All right.
I would say that I would hope I never had to deliver somebody that size.
All right, please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. So quite a few things to get to tonight. Starting with approval of the select board meetings, minutes for our May 20th regular meeting. It's in your packet. Is there a motion?
That's it.
Motion's been made and seconded for approval. Are there any additions, deletions, corrections? If not, all in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Joe, you're abstaining.
Abstain.
Okay, and the vote is 4-0, 1 abstention. So I'm going to circulate these. All right, the orders have been circulated for payment of the town's bills.
Move to approve.
Motion's been made to approve.
Second.
And seconded. Anyone want to flag any of the things in there, or are we all good to go? All in favor of
I cannot
approving?
get any audio on this.
We can hear you, Marcia. All in favor of approving our bills and orders, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 5-0. Are there any board member announcements? Nope. Update from the select board chair. I will just take it up in the regular course of things. I don't have anything particular. Are there questions from the floor, public comments, or anyone wishing to be heard who is not otherwise on tonight's agenda? Okay, come on up. Thank you. And if you could introduce yourselves, please.
My name is Jacob Carringer. I'm a resident of Rutland Town. This is my wife.
Allie Wenzel, resident 1128 Town Line Road.
I will pick you up fine.
Okay.
Okay.
thanks.
Sorry.
Okay, and we are here tonight to try to get resolution or to move forward resolution of the easement deed and settlement agreement between the town and us regarding the Moonbrook culvert.
Yeah.
So we've been advised by our attorney to be here tonight, just as a reminder that there is a draft settlement agreement, and we were under the impression that the issue would be resolved early in the year this year. So we're just hoping to move that along as expediently as possible.
Well, thank you for doing this, because it had slipped my mind too until I heard your names, and it was like, wait a minute. So we had agreed on, the easement deed, we'd agreed on. What were we waiting for? Do
We
you
were
know?
tweaking the language in the easement deed,
Okay.
just back
Yeah.
and forth, and our attorney sent Kevin Brown a final.
Mhm.
Okay,
So I think it's just like every 6 months something happens and then it kind of stalls out, and like,
yeah, because
I don't blame you for, you got a lot on your plate,
Yeah.
so we're just trying to keep it moving and
yes, please.
get
Thank you.
some
'Cause-
resolution to it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay, so actually, Kevin, I tried to get a hold of Kevin today about another thing. He emailed us about something else, but not this. So let me add this to my list of things we need to get from him. So the last you knew, what we hope was the final easement deed, your lawyer had tweaked, went to Kevin, and we're just waiting for approval there.
Correct.
Yep.
Yep.
And is there a separate settlement agreement?
I believe it's all one,
Yeah.
one item.
I mean, we
Okay.
worked on that long ago and came to, I think, agreement
Yeah.
between the
I'm
parties.
pretty
It-
sure we had
It's
come
just
to
that
agreement.
the easement language was more of
There
the,
were some technical details that we were just trying to sort
Lawyer
out, and it
stuff.
just went back and forth and back and forth for a while. Yeah.
All right. Let me, it'll be in the minutes. Bill will mention it and I will call Kevin. I think he's off today. I think there was something in his email saying he was hiking or something, but we'll get his attention and see if we can't get this resolved because you folks have waited long enough and the town's waited long enough too. So,
Yeah.
okay.
It's been 3 years, so we're just
Is it
trying to,
really?
yeah, we're just trying to close that chapter. So,
Yep.
yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you very much
Yeah.
for the
Thank
reminder.
you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Any other folks who are here to address the board? On Zoom or in the back row, for example? Jim Marsh is not on our agenda. Jim is our new delegate to the Rutland Regional Planning Commission. And let me take this out of order. We had an invitation from Rutland Regional Planning Commission, or was it to the Airport Commission was being revived, right? Regional Planning Commission, right? And I asked Jim if he was interested in also covering that position because we hadn't had any takers. I think we'd posted it. We've mentioned it at meetings. We couldn't think of anybody. Turns out Jim is, of course, he's been in the region up at Killington, and now in Rutland Town. And I understand, he told me that you don't have a pilot's license, but you had taken some flying lessons. Yeah.
Got married.
Well, those things, yeah.
Interrupted things.
So, are you interested in serving as the Rutland Town delegate to the Airport Commission, newly to be revived?
Yeah.
All right. What's your pleasure, folks?
Plan.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to appoint Jim Marsh as our rep to the Airport Commission. Any discussion, any, grueling questions you wish to put to Mr. Marsh about his background or experience? Nope. All in favor of the appointment, please say aye.
Hi.
Aye. Motion's unanimous. So thank you for doing this. I think you're well suited to try and figure out what it is they're trying to put back together and how the town can play a role because it's not in our town, but I do know that we have people from the town who use it. So
Talked to Devin a little bit about it.
good. Okay. And when's their first meeting, or have they had it?
He didn't indicate either.
Okay. All right. Well, tag, you're it. And thank you very much. All right. Anything else from the folks who are present other than what's already on our agenda? All right. So assuming several people are here and they're on the clock, we do have under action items, review the Act 250 application for the demolition of a portion of the old Diamond Run Mall building. So why don't you come on up?
Thank you.
Thank you. Reintroduce yourselves to us, please, or I will assume you're somebody else.
Good evening. So my name is David Grake, and I have two gentlemen with me, and I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves. If you'd stand and
Is this-
state your name and tell us who you are.
Justin Belden, I'm the president of Belden Construction, right in Rutland here.
And the gentleman handing stuff out is
From MSK Engineers.
excellent.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks for
Yeah, that's a good
coming.
idea. Just have a seat. Thank you. So I'm gonna be mostly directing these two. briefly, since last we met, a couple of developments. We were in front of, I was in front of the Planning Commission last Thursday. The Planning Commission voted that the demolition project is consistent with the town plan. So we have that piece of the puzzle set. And what we wanted to do this evening, in addition to kind of presenting the application, answering any questions, reviewing the municipal impact questionnaire, is we wanted to give you a presentation on security,
Yes,
because
please.
we all know that's the key issue. So I'd like Craig and Justin to explain to you what you've been handed out and what we're going to be doing within the demolition application, with the understanding that, you know, yes, there is the expectation and hope that there's going to be a Walmart application. And so what we're proposing now for security is for the demolition period. When the Walmart application comes through, there's going to be a whole new level of security. There's going to be obviously a different mode of achieving it, because right now you're going to hear about a fence. Whereas when we move forward with the Walmart application, the goal is to make it accessible for people to come and shop. So with that as kind of the overview of where we're going in this application and what we would expect to do in the next application, I'll turn it over to Craig and to Justin.
Thank you, everybody. So hopefully the drawing that you have in front of you looks very familiar to you. It is the plan that we presented to you last time. The addition has been the fence that you see that comes along the loop road, comes to both points in Kmart, the Kmart building, the former Kmart building, and a section of fence that will prevent anybody from going past Spartan to the rest of the site. So the fencing will essentially eliminate a fair portion of the property from even being accessible at this point.
Okay, do the perimeter, would you please?
Yep, so starting over here, there's a access gate right here, and then that fence comes along the loop road and follows the loop road all the way around. There is another gate there. It wraps around to another access gate here and butts up against the Kmart building here. Then in the back of the Kmart building, there's another section of fence that'll abut in that will prevent anybody from going south from the Kmart building. So essentially, the only portions of the property that will be accessible by others is the loop road from either access point and the area dedicated to Spartan. So the Spartan parking lot, Spartan Arena, and this area for overflow parking are related to Spartan.
Yes.
Question. So, what about the rest of this? Right, I mean, this is, you're saying this was still gonna be open, right?
No, it will be open, but it won't be accessible by vehicle. So if a vehicle comes up, there's a gate here
Okay.
and there's a gate over here. So unless they're holding the gate or breaking through the gate, there is no access to this area during demolition.
What about after?
After is a different conversation. So while the demo is still going on, the fence is there. We will be coming back to you with the Walmart application, and that will speak to what's going on related to the Walmart project and what happens to this parcel, what happens to this section of the parcel once Walmart is up for permitting review.
Fire department access. Now, I know most of the building is coming down, but the Kmart end remains there and the Spartan will still be there.
Yep.
And our fire trucks need to, now they can do a long way around, but
Bolt cutters.
Hmm?
The fire trucks have bolt cutters.
Yeah, I mean, they'll get
Pop
through
the
there
chain on the
during,
gate. And
I mean, should one of their pieces of equipment be vandalized, they'll be able to get in, cut a gate, cut a padlock. They don't have much trouble finding their way in. A concern is the availability. So something that came up in our highway committee meeting last week is in the areas where you're taking buildings down and putting grass in, and then in that red shaded area that I'm assuming you're just gonna leave the pavement or the concrete. What happens to the water and sewer infrastructure under that?
Good question. So as some may or may not know, there is a water loop that runs along here. There's a water main that comes up the road here, and then there's a loop around the building. That water main is going to remain untouched. There is no impact to that water main related to what we're doing with the demo. The sewer is also going to remain untouched and continue to discharge out of the pump station that discharges to the north here. As part of the demo, there is no infrastructure demoing or improvements to the project whatsoever. So the infrastructure will remain as is.
So any lines that were under the mall portion area there will still be in the ground? Because there is lines in there somewhere.
Right, so there will be a demoing of the actual slab foundation or
Right.
the slab part of the building, and then we're required to actually come in and bring topsoil in. So if it's within that area and we encounter something, we will abandon it or remove it. The actual main infrastructure, the thing that supplies water to the building itself, that will remain. Any service line or connection into the mall will be disconnected related to that.
And any hydrants that are disconnected or no longer in use will be identified. So if the fire department has to get up there, they'll
There is
know.
no proposed abandoning of any of the fire hydrants out there. All the hydrants that are out there are going to remain out there. There's no plan
Should be
to
okay.
abandon any
Okay.
hydrant. Yeah, there are no plans to abandon any hydrant, and in subsequent applications, there might be some additional hydrants that get added out here.
Right.
In addition to what's.
Are the hydrants on the building being demolished, or are they
Well,
in
there's-
the ground next to?
They're,
They're
they're all
in the
in the
back here
perimeter.
along
Okay.
this side, so
Yeah, and
those will
so-
all remain.
and there
They're
was
not
some in-
integral to the building.
like in the island, I believe out in
Yeah,
front, there
there's a
were
couple.
some.
Yep.
And maybe we're around the corner. I can't remember where they all were. Those will still be there?
Yeah,
Or-
there's no proposal to abandon any hydrants.
And they'll all be
whatsoever.
good.
Correct, for the demo application, that's correct.
So, okay.
So there are some additional measures which we identified in the brief narrative. Craig, if you just want to
Yep.
walk through those.
Sure. So, in addition to the fencing, we have the 4 security gates, that are identified. So one over here, one here, and one there. The Kmart building will actually be made watertight. And inaccessible, so it will basically be improved to allow or to prevent anybody from being able to get inside the building. All individuals on site will be required to check in upon arrival. Hopefully the fencing will prevent anybody who was looking to come up here for another reason, and they'll just continue and find their way out of there. But anybody on site will be required to check in with Belden. So Belden will secure any openings created with barricade and plywood to the extent necessary for Walmart to keep everybody out. Justin can speak to that a little bit more. There will be cameras installed on the fencing or within the area to be able to monitor the property 24/7 while the demolition is going on. And then there is a potential for additional safeguards as needed during demolition and as situations arise and need to be addressed. As far as any specific questions that you have related to that stuff, I'll defer to Justin on that, but that's essentially what's being proposed at the moment.
Who's behind the cameras? Is there a private security company? And who's on call if the private security folks pick up something? And this goes back to what I mentioned, our previous Act 250 amendment, which put the burden on the property owner to provide the security and also to set up, I think, either a contract with the sheriff's office or possibly the state police for responses. So the town would not bear that responsibility. So and I think, where are we with that? Let me
Yeah,
open it that
so
way.
the security camera is going to be part of
Our contract. And the intent is something very similar to well, like the trailer mounted ones that were there when they were building the car wash. Trailer mounted, solar powered. They can see 3 or 4 of those just strategically placed out, so we can keep an eye on, and it's also keeping an eye on our own equipment too. And I don't know exactly how those work because I've never dealt with them directly, but I assume there's an alert system of some kind, monitoring system, but I don't think there's an actual, like, it doesn't call the police when there's someone's alerted there.
So we kind of know who's going to respond. or who's expected to respond. And we're really hoping to hear that it's not going to be our local police department.
Right. And yes. And the concern that we have is, what is the appropriate response to the threat? So if someone is engaged in criminal activity or is armed or is brandishing a weapon, then there's no private security that's going to be responding to that. And after that, there's going to need to be response by law enforcement. So that's not going to be eliminated, nor would any kind of fire. So, there's still going to need to be criminal, police enforcement as well as fire protection. In terms of how there's going to be a response to lesser categories of activity. So people wandering on, illegal waste disposal. There's certainly going to have to be the owner, the property owner, engaging in not only monitoring, but actively responding to those kinds of situations. We're hoping that the fence is going to lead to a significant reduction, not an elimination, but a reduction. So to the extent that we're still going to have people coming through the woods, coming in, the backside or trying to scale the fences, we're really hoping that the cameras and surveillance are going to let us know what's going on and we can respond accordingly. So there is a certain amount of, we're going to put up the fencing, we're going to put up the cameras, we're going to control the area. There's going to be active demolition, and we are ready to see how effective that is. And as Craig just said, we want the flexibility and are accepting of the flexibility in a permit condition that acknowledges that there's going to be authority through the commission. I think really what will work better and faster is communication from the town or any other interested party that believes that additional measures are required. In other words, we're not looking to only respond if it goes through Act 250.
You should know that we are not a 24/7 police department. So any response after our hours need to go somewhere, and someone needs to be responsible for it.
And I would assume that if at 2 o'clock in the morning, it becomes known that there's firearms being used, a clandestine drug deal going down, that calling 911 will be the first and really only option.
Yeah, once you get to criminal activity, you're gonna call state dispatch, which through 911, or whether you call state dispatch, and the appropriate police department's gonna get dispatched, whether our department's on, state police is on, or if it's 4 a.m, Rutland City Police would be heading down there, and that's how any of that policing works.
Right.
It's nothing out of the normal.
I can only speak directly to the demolition, but it's going to be a very active construction site, and my experience is that's going to cut down on a lot of
Yeah.
the riffraff, you could say.
Yeah.
But it's going to be an active site, and I think that will deter a lot of people rather than just being an empty abandoned building.
The only issue I see is if you have equipment trailers up there, they're gonna get broken into, and you're gonna make a list of stuff and do a bunch of writing, trying to figure out where it went, who took it. If you have excavators, you might wanna excavate the doors, so shut, just things you have to do above and beyond.
Yeah.
Besides the camera, you put a void on it.
Right.
If they figure out we're not coming, they'll be there trying to get some free stuff.
We probably won't leave too many valuables.
Yeah. Yes. Pull the job trailer home with you at the end of the day.
On an access road, you can fit cars down.
Okay.
It's on this backside where Sears used to be.
Yeah, right in here.
Yeah. How you're gonna secure that?
That's a good question.
You could fit, I could fit a cruiser through there.
Through there?
Car down there.
I got the skid steer through there, but
The Not saying it was the most spacious drive-through, but.
Find a couple of big boulders.
Well, we could,
Couple-
we
couple
could put a
rocks.
Jersey barrier right there or something, because there's some trees right, yeah.
Yeah.
Great big hole full of water.
We'll get that noted on the
Oh, it
plan.
is.
No, we'll get that noted on the plan. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. We'll update the plan and show that we're gonna have some kind of obstruction there.
Good. How high is the fence? 6 foot chain link?
Yeah, 6 feet probably.
Okay. All right.
Anything on the top of it?
Not anticipated, no, it's,
Because let me tell you, they're pretty clever.
Harbor Freight, but
If people want to get in, they'll get in.
yeah, it's pretty hard to stop.
Just as we were speaking briefly before, the holdover permit conditions will continue to apply.
Yep.
So we would look to just some confirmation of that, or just an indication of that. And so you're not concerned about fire having access to the site? Right.
If you check with the fire department and they want something, you let us know and we'll do it.
Cordless grinders and bolt cutters, and you just cut the lock off the
No.
fence and there you go.
There isn't much.
If someone changes their mind and you let us know, we'll do it.
Right. And ambulance
we
would
could even
have,
give the fire department a key. Yeah.
Yeah.
that might be,
Yeah.
if the right person has the key when the call comes in.
Save Justin a padlock.
And then you
We're
had
gonna have a mat and we're gonna put the key.
Yeah.
fake rock.
Don't
Yeah,
tell
hanging on the
anyone.
backside of the gate post, yeah.
Trash on site. You had a very good schedule of what you're gonna do for, the construction debris, but there's a lot of trash up there. So how are you gonna get?
All of the trash will be removed, so there's gonna be a little extra than what was in the building, but.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, we'll have to, part of our contract, we have to remove all the trash.
okay. And that goes to town landfill or town transfer station, or does it go to Hubbard's?
Working on, it's gonna probably go straight to the landfill.
Okay, not to the transfer station.
No. It'll be all hauled out with big trailers straight,
Yeah,
You get either Casella or Hubbard should bring your roll off and just put it all in.
probably just wide bottom trailers.
Bottom
the
trailers,
big
yeah.
ones, yeah.
You've done this before.
yeah.
Salvage what you can.
Okay, what else do we have? I've had a chance to visit with the police department, and that's why you have some of the questions that you do.
I don't know if Dave has any more questions, because he did bring up the,
Yeah. Dave Sears, our highway commissioner, what do you have from,
That was
Your
it,
point.
just what was gonna happen with the water and sewer, and that's been asked and answered.
okay, all right. And I know the fire chief can't be here, but we've got 2 firemen on the select board, so kind of got it covered. So how are you going to do this to give us those few assurances? Some amendment or a separate letter like this? That also goes to the district commission saying,
Yeah, what you see, what we're doing here is gonna be filed with the district commission. Absolutely.
okay,
So we're gonna add the
Jersey
the
barrier.
Jersey barriers.
okay,
And in terms of, the application included the Stowe Club's Highland analysis. And so what I did there was to identify what I thought were potential critical permit conditions which needed to be addressed relative to the demolition. So you're concerned about the security conditions, and there's no request to modify them or delete them, which is why I didn't address it in the Stowe Club's Highland analysis. So from my point of view, the application is already doing what you want it to do, which is to leave undisturbed the conditions which were part of the original approval. So
since you're gonna do this anyway, could we have an affirmative condition that, or an affirmation that indeed the other security?
yes, and what I want to make
remains in
sure of
place,
is
yeah.
though that it's we need to get this demolition done. This is gonna happen no matter what. Obviously, we've publicly said and are working hard on trying to put in an application for a Walmart.
Right.
That application is going to have its own set of security requirements.
Sure.
And it's going to be dealing with the property once it's, we hope, redeveloped with a store that's open with a Walmart supercenter. So what I want to make sure of, and what I have to be concerned about, is that I'm not looking to create a critical permit condition in a demolition application, which is then somehow going to be used or held up when we come forward with a Walmart application. So that's my concern as the attorney on the project, but your interest in having that reaffirmation is not something that's a problem. Those permits, as you know, run with the land. It's an existing condition. And I just want to make sure that we're not suddenly going to have a problem with a subsequent application. So as long as we can do that, I don't see it
We
being a
have the
problem.
application in front of us, and that's the one.
That's the one you have.
I mean, basically, we'll talk security when we see the Walmart application.
Exactly. And I don't want that application when it goes for review to have to then contend with an unnecessarily complicated Stowe Club's Highland analysis, because the demolition permit contains a condition about security when as part of the Walmart application, we're going to do a comprehensive review of security. So
But you don't have a problem with the affirmation that.
it runs with the land. I mean, from my perspective, permits is they run with the land, the conditions run with the land, they say what they say.
Yeah.
And the application in the Stowe Club's Highland analysis does not only address those that I thought were relevant to what we were proposing to do in demolition.
Right.
We were not proposing to alter security and a host of other conditions. Otherwise, I'd be looking at, I don't know, 200 to 300 conditions that I would have to explain why there's not a finality threshold burden.
Yep.
So
what do we need to do to move this thing forward?
We need each department head to sign off on the municipal impact questionnaire.
Is there one for the
So, Are we
demolition?
supposed to vote to direct
Or is
them to
that
do
through-
that?
No,
Or-
I guess.
we provided the municipal impact questionnaire, and we want, we're asking the appropriate personnel to complete the form. We believe that we're not going to have an undue adverse impact on municipal services, and that the project as proposed complies with the applicable criteria.
Right.
So yeah, we're looking for the town of Rutland to move forward with that municipal impact questionnaire so that I can get it filed with the commission so that we can keep this thing moving.
The planning commission did vote that there was compliance with the town plan, so that was within their wheelhouse to do, and they did that. I have asked, you'll remember, a couple of times that department heads review the full application, and thank you for dropping off a number of these. I did, and other than those few things that I raised, I'm satisfied with this. So whatever the department heads now should each, I'm assuming they would have let us know if they found something. The police, we just discussed it in the police committee meeting. Yeah. Fire committee, hopefully they looked it over. And highway looked it over, and they've raised their concerns about it's actually highway, water, sewer. So they've raised those. So I'm assuming most department heads are ready. Have we got any transfer station? It doesn't sound like transfer station is affected because most of the plans are to take either recycle, reuse,
That's right.
or take it elsewhere to a landfill. So Bill, if you could, since you're our point person and administrator, would you please circulate now the municipal impact questionnaire among the department heads and have them sign off? Okay. If anything pops up that we haven't talked about, and they have had time, and we've raised it in our various committees, if anything else pops up, let us know right away. Okay. All right.
What's your proposed timeframe?
For the demolition itself, well,
But
So
depending on
so-
this, depending
No,
on
I can
the-
tell you, I can tell you.
You can get
So,
in the rain
so the application's been filed. We knew we were coming here tonight. We knew that we're going to do a supplementary filing of exhibits. Again, I urge you to become familiar with the Act 250 database. You are a statutory party. You can monitor this application and what comes next. I can give you the number. I can give you a training session. With that said, it goes in. The first step of the process is for the Act 250 program to decide whether we have filed what's called a complete application. We anticipate that it will be at least 3 more weeks before the Act 250 program will be able to tell us whether they think a complete application's been filed. If Act 250 decides that a complete application's been filed, then under the statute, they either have to have what's called a pre-hearing or a hearing within 40 days, or alternatively, they notice it for what's called a minor amendment. And that means if it's done as a minor, it's under what's called Board Rule 51. A draft permit is proposed. A notice of the draft permit is circulated to the statutory parties, which includes you. And I think there's a minimum of 20 days under which any party can object to the draft permit or request a hearing. If there's no objections, then the draft permit should be issued shortly after the expiration of the comment period. If there is an objection or a request for a hearing, then the commission will need to engage in a deliberation and decide whether the request is meritorious. If it decides it's meritorious, then a hearing will need to be scheduled. The hearing will need at least 15 days prior notice, and all statutory parties will be invited to attend. Thereafter, evidence will be taken, a decision will be issued, and it goes on from there.
And on and on.
Oh, yeah.
That's
This
what
is
you're,
why I don't do that.
And you wonder why it takes so long to get something done in the state.
All we want to
Refresh
do
my
is take the
memory.
building. down.
Yeah.
Is there an ultimate
take-
sign off
quite
by the
curious on that
select
timeline as
board
well.
on the municipal impact questionnaire, or is
Yeah,
it just
I mean,
department by
no,
department?
it's usually, I mean, the way I've seen it done
Yeah.
is that the select board would direct a designated person, town manager, or town administrator, to sign on behalf of the select board or the board chair. Towns might do it differently, but that after you concur, and we would appreciate a decision by the select board so that this can be communicated to the commission, because I think your endorsement, your affirmative vote is going to be relevant to whether the district commission would feel comfortable in using what's the Board Rule 51 procedure. So that's why we really appreciate the meeting with the planning commission, and there was one member in particular who raised the security concern. And so we wanted to make sure that, we knew it was your concern also. So, that's what we're doing here. But as soon as you can vote, I don't know when your next meeting is or how you want to do it, but certainly we would appreciate a motion and a vote by the select board to instruct that the municipal impact questionnaire be completed and signed, and that the town give its endorsement to the project as proposed.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's made, seconded, and
You beat
thirded.
me to it.
I was ready. You laid it out so nicely. I don't have to.
Wait a minute and stipulate that Mary can sign.
Well, we're
Sound
also gonna
real
have
fancy once Bill
Bill
writes that out, too.
circulated as, if that's okay. Have Bill circulated as our administrator among the department heads.
Okay.
Because he
Very good,
needs to
son.
do that. And then select board approval, Bill will sign. Is that okay? Okay?
Yeah.
Well,
And-
let's take a vote.
Yes, you
could
gotta
be-
call for the question.
Did I duck that one okay? I
Yes,
think I did.
yes,
Right.
yeah.
All in favor of the motion
Aye.
to approve the demolition with Bill circulating the municipal impact questionnaire, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Is it all right if I take this? Does anyone need this? Am I good to go with
I
this?
think we have several.
You do have several.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll be back.
See ya.
Thanks for coming. And thanks for doing this.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Have a good evening.
All right. That takes care of E.
They can't do
Oh.
that fast enough.
All right. So we are on now to department head reports. Is Larry on? Okay. Ed Dumas, Town Police Chief.
Somewhere I lost what I gave you.
They're in there.
Are they?
Yeah.
Okay.
First, any questions on this one right here, the monthly stat sheet for us?
Hmm. So who is it that's tracking the sex offender registry?
Lots of bias.
Right. Okay.
Best deterrent is that dog.
2 calls to Cortina already.
That's for us too. That doesn't include state.
Right.
Neat.
I don't think they're taking vouchers. I haven't heard anything about them taking vouchers. This is cash money only clientele.
Okay.
So they're not open to the public like they used to be, are
They're not taking vouchers from DCF that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Just a hotel.
It's just a hotel at this point. They're not housing the homeless
Rutland.
population for.
they? Sure hope they did some super duper sanitation and refurbishing.
I doubt they did.
So they're just open for regular business. Then.
Correct.
Yep. That's interesting as heck.
Well, then they're in compliance with their Act 250 permit and therefore they're,
Oh, yeah, no, I
Yeah,
understand
that's-
that.
that's
It's not that portion. It's the condition of the property
oh.
after 2.5 years of abuse. I'm not sure. I don't,
Yep.
anyway.
That's why I have state officials inspecting.
Correct.
I don't like things on Grove Street and Pinnacle Ridge. No.
Okay.
Grove Street. and
Any
Pinnacle-
questions about calls that have been made?
Actually, funny enough, Joey brought up North Road and McKinley.
Yeah,
You brought that up.
yeah, well, I just see that. That's close to home.
Officer Placus actually stopped a car there that tried to flee and it turned into a fentanyl trafficking charges.
Okay.
So
So the individuals, they're not at large anymore, or they might be.
May I
I have
have
no idea.
4 of those no sugar lemon cookies that you guys have up here?
Sounds good.
Okay, thank you, Lisa, but you're live, in our meeting. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that did lead to fentanyl trafficking charges.
Neat. Very nice.
Good. All right, what else?
So then we move on to our monthly stats at the south end of town. We had 66 calls for service down there. Average for the month of May was 48% of our time we spent down there.
Okay, it's dropping.
It's down from not 2021 is still up in there, 2020, and I think 2000 prior to COVID, 2019, 2020, we're not gonna, I don't know if we'll ever see those numbers again. And just the way things are at this point in time. And right now, there's not a homeless issue that the state's housing the people. I wonder if they'll have room in the state for all the people when this fall comes. What's gonna happen then? We'll see what they do. We have had other hotels in the area. I spoke to the police committee about it, who wanted us to throw people out, but one of the judges in the state of Vermont decided that in order to throw somebody out, DCF has to give them a 10-day notice in order for them to get thrown out. So they tried to get us to throw them out, but our officers were smart enough to figure out, read newspapers, whatever, and said, yeah, we can't do this. Good. Then they didn't like us, so they did some cop shopping, as we call it, tried other agencies to get us to kick them out. And even officers Officer, Deputy Chief Washburn, then, Officer Dumas, and then State Police, so. Yeah. And so. We're not gonna throw anybody out of a state voucher program simply because most must stay beyond 28 days. And now Judge Horst says they need a 10-day notice. We're not, otherwise we're gonna get sued if we do that.
Right. Okay.
That's all I have at this point in time.
We did have a police committee meeting. We tracked expenditures to see how they were going. We talked about to get a better understanding of the overtime line was fairly high, and it was primarily because the K-9 training program required the officer and the K-9. We don't give the K-9 overtime, but the
What's
training
discrimination?
program was longer than an 8-hour day. So he had to be paid for the overtime. So that's why there was a substantial amount of overtime to one officer. We do, when we have overtime available, it's equally allowed, shared among interested police officers. So they all get a shot at the overtime. Let's see. We wanted to make sure that the AFIS machine, the fingerprint machine that we authorized, has been paid for, or we have sufficient funds to pay for that. And that was part of our plan because we had vacancy savings to
We wanted to
some
make sure
extent.
that it got paid. We checked with Kari,
Yeah.
make sure that the APHIS company was paid, so it doesn't come a bill after the 1st of July. 'Cause
Right.
We don't have the money.
We really need to make sure. So if between the clerk and treasurer's office and the police department, we'll make sure that that bill did come through and was paid. And if you need to rattle the cage with the APHIS folks, tell them they're going to be waiting a very long time if they wait after July 1st to send us a bill. So maybe that would help.
I think we had a purchase order with a price on it.
Right. What?
Yeah.
We did.
Yeah.
We did.
So you got a little under a month, but
Yep.
let's make sure
But
we're
we're
okay.
authorized to pay it. It comes out and without any issues.
Yep.
Okay.
Right.
I think so. But we also usually see the, on Kari's end, the check is ready to be written, and that's what we authorize in these binders here. So we need to make sure. Okay.
Mary, this is Kari.
Yes. Hi,
We were
Kari.
just talking about that today, and we still have not received any invoice for that machine. It has not been paid yet.
Okay. So that's the answer. Let's get the invoice so that can be paid. And we only have one meeting left of the select board to authorize that payment. So
Yep. You want to get paid? Send me an invoice.
I
I'm
think that's
sure
a
I'll have it.
really nice way of putting it. Yep. Okay. Thank you, Kari. Anything else, Matt? What else from our police committee meeting?
I don't know. I don't have the minutes.
I got one, I told you guys before the 1st of July, the carryover money from the Cortina fund.
Yes.
You guys have to vote on it to not just go in the general budget.
You put that on the agenda, Bill, for next time.
We don't forget.
Yeah. Yes, please.
So if they're not taking vouchers and they're not subject to the agreement, right?
Correct.
So anyways, you'll have the minutes from the meeting next time, but we talked about overtime. We talked about shift scheduling, in terms of coverage and how officers are getting scheduled. And we talked about the draft alarm ordinance, and Mary took a note on a comment to look at, so we can move that forward.
Right. And if you look at the detailed call sheet that the chief just gave us, the times and the times are there. So the police can track when their busiest times are, and that's what we were discussing for set the shifts to cover when there's most activity. I mean, just basic stuff. We're not going to do it, but we're leaving it to the chiefs to figure out. Okay, I think
Are
that's.
they telling you that they're not putting anybody up in the motel anymore?
They haven't told me anything. I've done my own little. found out that they're not taking the DCF vouchers. The DCF is not giving the Cortina any money for vouchers for the homeless population at this point.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we got quite a few of them, and they didn't last more than a day because they don't follow the rules.
Okay.
Any pending issues with your end of the building?
No.
Oh, good,
We're
yeah.
pretty happy about that
Okay.
whole thing.
And so the only, I guess, little thing that we left out is the keypad and the entranceway to get in, and that we'll figure out that. Someone will figure out to get that and stuff. Okay. But otherwise, everything else is pretty good. Okay, good.
Okay, I don't think there were any motions that came from the police committee. Just the APHIS and Cortina fund for next meeting that we need to approve one and rededicate the money from Cortina into its own separate fund. Okay. That's it. Thank you very much.
Do you need us to stick around? So stick around here.
I don't know. Is there anything else? You were here. Oh, the alarm ordinance. We did get feedback on that from the police department, and they're pretty much not being hired to respond to alarms. So we don't really need to comment further. So the fire committee can move forward on the alarm ordinance, and they don't really need the police input on that. Okay.
All security ones go through state dispatch, don't they?
They have to pay a fee
Right.
in order to respond. If we were a 24-hour agency, I'd say, yeah, we'll do it. We'll stick around. We have,
Yeah.
but we're not.
When we get there.
Okay. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mike Rowe, Town Rec Director.
Evening, how are we
Good
doing?
evening.
Well, things are moving along, mowing, and the pool will open on Saturday, weather permitting, but that doesn't look good right now as far as the weather, but we haven't had a dry weekend since November, so I guess it really doesn't matter. But we are planning to open. We have school functions this week and next week, and then we open for real on the 13th. We had signups tonight and tomorrow night, and I think just off the top of my head, we had probably 40 people sign up tonight for pool passes and lessons tonight. So I left, they're actually still going on. If anybody wanted to sign up, they could. So that's a good sign. The pool is ready to go, which is another good sign. Baseball is wrapping up next week, believe it or not. It's already been going, and thanks to all the coaches for dealing with all the weather and everything. Dewey Field looks really good with our improvements that we made last year. So everyone is commenting. Bill's been there, so Bill could tell you it looks pretty good, and we'll keep maintaining that. The lights came down at Dewey, so if you get a chance, you can drive over and look. They're gone. Highway has taken them out of the way, so thanks to Dave and the boys for removing the rubbish, and thanks to LaFaso for doing a great job of getting them down efficiently, not doing too much other than a little cosmetic work on some grass. They're gone. So it makes a big difference. Just if you've ever been there, it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Not seeing all these poles all around the tennis court. Those are all gone, and all the big light poles are gone. So
We
it
did
makes a world
sign
of
the
difference.
order to take the money from the depreciation fund
Yes.
for
Yep.
that work.
So they had
that's taken
finished,
care of.
so he sent me the bill, so I put that in there. I sent to you, Mary, and I think I didn't, because for some reason, Joe, I can't get your emails. If I type in J Denardo, it doesn't come up on my thing. I'm assuming like everyone else. So it wasn't on purpose, but the lifeguards that I'm recommending for hire are, if they're not in your packet, I know they are in the packet. Thank you, Bill.
I need to recuse
Yes, I
myself
think
from
you do.
further
You
discussion.
can.
So
So
I'll be over there.
we lucked out. You don't have to leave. We lucked out, a lot of the guards, all but like 3 were, certified, so we're good. And the ones that weren't found a place and a home to get certified. I'm carrying a few extra than I normally do because of the way the staffing's working this summer. A lot of the college kids are doing internships. So I added a few it'll be the same number of guards and the same amount of time. I just want to make sure I'm fully staffed, and then moving forward, I'm in good shape.
So here's my question. None
Yeah.
of your relatives are on this list.
My relatives have not been on this list for, my
Right.
daughter is now 26. So when
Okay.
she was working for the town as a lifeguard, yes, she was on the list,
And I
but
think
she's
the
no
reason,
longer.
so this is for information only. We don't really need
Yeah,
to.
we don't
You're the
No, you
hire
just go,
fire.
yeah, like if I,
Okay.
like Dave hires somebody, I guess I get that same. I'm just letting you know, these are the people that
Okay.
I've hired, interviewed and hired.
Mhm.
The last 4, they're hired on condition that they pass their lifeguard. They will not have a job if they don't pass their lifeguarding certification, because that's all I hire at the
Got-
pool.
You got by your, you were talking about a potential glitch.
I'm okay.
You okay?
Yes, good.
My heart is beating normal now, and
good.
I'm feeling good. So
My
yes,
grandkids will
it wasn't
appreciate
for a
that.
while, and now I am. We will talk when it's budgeting season next year. Obviously, minimum, a couple of years ago, we bumped up our starting pay, and then lo and behold, minimum wage bumped up
Yep.
to now 1401. So we will be increasing our lifeguard salaries, but that will be at budgeting time, and we will talk about that to stay ahead of the curve rather than to get behind the curve, because we want to keep them. Matt, you can come back in.
Yeah, it's.
You're good, Matt.
So the select board doesn't have to vote on this
Yeah.
because there's no conflict.
Yeah, this is.
Correct.
This is
This has
in
nothing to
your
do with us.
wheelhouse to hire and hire
Correct.
lifeguards, so you're
Correct.
all set.
Correct.
Well, it is, but our previous discussion was, and I think our vote on a policy, which we've muddled with personnel policy, is that the select board has to decide if you're gonna hire a family member, because.
But he's not, so he's
not,
okay.
Right.
But
We don't-
we're the rec committee and we oversee him, so
Right.
I don't want to avoid
I
any.
mean,
He just
But
wants
we're
to
not
make it
gonna
clear.
hire-
I appreciate that.
Well,
It's okay.
if people would feel more comfortable, no, we're good.
wanna start
Mike
fresh.
hires and fires. He doesn't need anyone. Yep.
And so that's gonna go smoothly, lessons and, everything was looking really well. The only other thing, when I wasn't here last meeting, apologies for that. As far as the situation for a maintenance person at Dewey, and Matt briefly caught me when I was doing one other thing. So I just want to move forward, and I'm assuming hire or post for hiring for Dewey. I mean, once I'm out, I think I can handle it, to be perfectly honest with you. So if you want, it's 2 more weeks, and then I'm not even, it's actually 5 school days for me. And then I'm good.
So-
I think I can finagle something, and then I can check back with you because once the season is over, like the baseball season, it's just mowing and weed whacking and cleaning. I'm not lining for games. I'm not taking out trash. There's a big difference once baseball is over than when baseball is going on. So we can talk about it later. I just know Matt had heard back from the lawyer, and what you had told me as far as.
Yeah, so basically, and I've got notes on this somewhere, but the question was, can we use somebody from another department? And that was going to be a problem with the overtime rules if we're
Right.
doing that on a regular basis. There is an exception for occasional like fill-in use, and so maybe that's where you're at right now if you've only got a couple of weeks to get through or something. But otherwise, or even if overtime applied, I mean, if it doesn't really matter if it's a couple of weeks, you probably can handle it. But if you're looking to fill that position for the summer, then we would have to post it.
I wanna try it, is what I'm asking you. So I wanna try it, and then I can budget for it, because this life will be different for me shortly than what I've known in the past. So
You do know people fill up your time, right?
I'm fully aware that they
Okay.
fill up my time.
Let's fill it up with mowing before anybody else does.
You have no idea how it's disturbing, but I mean, look
We're
at
all
me. I
disturbed.
love it.
No.
Summer won't be too much different. It's gonna start being different come fall and winter.
Yeah.
As far
Have
as
that place to go every day.
oh, I got an ice rink to no,
Yeah, but it's.
yeah, I understand. I'll go through withdrawals, but let's let me enjoy my
you get
happy
up, you
space
get in your
right
car
now.
And drive, no, wait a minute, I don't have to be there.
We're not.
Let me
depressing
get my
right
happy
now.
place.
Okay? We're
For the
not.
seniors, Skip, I just reserved, not reserved, I just purchased tickets for the seniors to go on the boat cruise to the Ethan Allen.
Nice.
I had about 22 that said that, and I have enough money in their line item that I'm paying for them to go. I offered that up to them because otherwise it just goes to the general. And then next year it shifts over into my budget as a line item under recreation. So they're going, about 20 of them took me up on the going to the Ethan Allen, and they're going on the 24th of June. So we'll pray that it's a Tuesday. So I'm assuming it's going to be a beautiful day. And they're not going on the weekend. So that hopefully they'll have a really good time.
Well, the next 2 weekends don't look any better than the previous.
Yeah, I know.
25, so.
The border war over in West Rutland was an absolute success. I'd never been to the town hall upstairs in West Rutland, and Amy, their rec director, and I chatted. So we're gonna try to get the groups together. But both jazz bands, the high school jazz band from West Rutland and the Rutland Town Jazz Band, did phenomenal. I mean, no bias, but Rutland Town has a gem in their jazz band, and that's not a secret. But it's pretty cool to watch them perform, and the adults were great. They tried to get them up dancing, but nobody really wanted to. But they did try. I'll give them credit. They tried to get them up dancing, but they love pizza. I would have never have known, really.
What,
They
us
they
old
chowed
folks?
the pizza
Yes,
down.
we
Oh
like
my God,
pizza.
they love pizza. Love pizza. Anyway, that's pretty much what I have so far. We will have to get a townwide committee meeting going, just to finalize what Bill has done and then hand me the reins for the following year. Other than that, unless you have any questions, it's very busy, which is great. And like I said, baseball is wrapping up in the next week or two. And then it's just pool, and swim. So
Any questions for our rec director? All right. Thank
perfect.
you.
Awesome. All right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
All right. Dave Sears.
Hey, guys.
Highway, Sewer and Water Commissioner.
I got promoted or demoted? Where does that go? Not a lot, but we spent some time week before last. We hired A1 for a couple days and tried to get ahead of the MS4 stuff. So we cleaned a whole bunch of catch basins, a bunch of culverts and stuff. That all this stuff is on our MS4 list, and we've kind of been caught behind the last couple of years. So I wanted to get ahead of it this year. So we cleaned a bunch of basins and some pipes. We went to Windridge and mowed the check dam. We cut a bunch of trees a couple weeks ago, probably a month ago now. Probably cut 30 trees off the check dam. And then we went up the other day, one day last week, and mowed it, and weed whacked and made it all pretty. So that hasn't been done in quite some time, and it's done now. We have a new water connection on Post Road. We contracted with the city to do the connection. So that was on Wednesday last week, and that went well. It was a couple hours and it was done. And then we spent quite a bit of time the last week and a half or so on the shared use path. We've got it all based in, and we're working on topping it now. We're probably a third done with putting the top on it. We do have to put a catch basin in out in the woods, which confuses me to death because it's a sand pit, but it's part of it, and we'll do it anyway. And that's kind of where we are, other than we had a highway committee meeting on Thursday. Cue up Joe.
Okay.
All right.
So Thursday last, we met with Robert Clark and we reviewed and discussed the South End Square project. We advised, or Dave and I figured that in this timeliness of this project, we authorized Robert to put that out to bid. So the project has gone out to bid. The pre-bid meeting will be on the 10th at 9 o'clock. I believe we're going to meet here first, Bill. All right, so we're gonna meet here first, and then there will be a site visit for any of the contractors that are interested in the project. Bid opening will be the 26th of June at 9 a.m. And that will give Robert a chance to go through them. And then we're hoping on July 1st, we'll be able to award the contract for the job. There was some information on our desks here that was a little staggering, if you read through some of this stuff. No, not that part, that there was some numbers here I saw earlier, and I don't remember where they went. Yeah.
So you have, you have some estimates and you have, some of the, you have the, engineering services, paperwork on there, and you have, Kevin Brown's comments on the contract, right?
Yes.
So what I would do is not say this estimated price.
Gotcha.
Right.
Because what I do as a contractor when I do municipal work is I go back through select board meetings,
Mhm.
figure out what the estimated price
Mhm.
is, and judge my bid off it.
Mhm.
So we won't say this number,
Okay.
but ouch.
Yep.
So, and as you're all aware, the project is going to be a combination of open digging and boring. They'll be boring across the road, putting a 24-inch sleeve under Route 7, approximately 150 to 160 feet. They have to dig a crater 20 or 30, maybe 40 feet long by 20 feet wide by 16 feet deep. It requires shoring and all kinds of safety measures to get the equipment in. And there has to be one on the digging side and one on the receiving side. So this is going to be quite a project. I noticed there was some differences in pipe size there, so I'm not sure. I think those would be questions. There's a 6 and 8 and a 10-inch price size in that line of work. So I don't know how if we'll be the one determining the price pipe size, but anyway. Yeah, I think we'll go on.
What do we do with our town attorney's letter of comments? Do those get incorporated in bid conditions?
Well, I think probably what we'll need to do, and I'm thinking the best thing, since the contract is a standard contract used just like we did for the public safety building. These are standard contracts for this type of work. I think that copy of that should go to Robert Clark and
Okay.
then he can address that. We can address that with the successful bidder.
Okay,
one-
as part of the contract.
As, yeah,
Okay.
it'll,
And I mean, yes, that was a
put a-
standard contract, but Kevin did modify some conditions
right,
of that
and
standard
so I
contract.
think what we do is.
After the pre-bid, he can always put addenda out with the changes.
Okay,
Right, and I think once we pick the contractor, we'll go through the contract and our concerns will be highlighted to Kevin's response. And then we work that out with,
Okay. All right.
I don't think there's any sense in worrying about it now, once we decide on the recommendation from Otter Creek, who we should go with and who
As
we
long as
decide.
there's nothing in here that's different from the bid specs.
I don't believe there is, but if you can, we could
Probably
forward
not.
Kevin's response to Robert. So if he
Okay.
flags anything that he thinks is, he'll get back to us.
Okay.
I don't
good.
think there's
So
anything.
is that a bill? Would you take
retainage
care of
thing,
getting
you will.
Kevin's remarks to Robert?
Sure.
Thank you very
The,
much.
the retainage question's the only thing I see maybe a contractor having a fit with if they bid with a certain retainage.
Right.
And then you want to change it.
Mhm.
But if we get this to him and then after the pre-bid, there's always addendas that go out with questions.
Yeah.
And these changes to the contract can be provided to the contractor
Okay.
with an addenda.
Yeah.
All right,
And,
good.
and just make sure that, we'll
So
make sure
that's a
Robert's got, but I think,
ASAP. thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, good.
so, but that's where we are. We did discuss, a little bit about the water connections. And we talked about a lot of things on the water connections, the idea of running the main up the east side of Route 7 and connecting to Adele Stanley. But this stuff is just mostly informational right now. And then we did discuss a little bit about ongoing works with the city and water usage, and it may be time that we have to sit down and talk about their sale of water to town residents and how they treat the town. Because the city wants to sell water as an income to their operation, and the town, I think the fire districts are sooner or later all going to be on that, you know, so it just might be time that we try to work something out where the town residents are treated the same as the city residents, because we could possibly add 1,000 users to the city system. And none of us can understand why it costs more to sell water to a town resident than a city resident. We're still confused by that. So, I know this is a kind of a really sticky thing, but, it's out there. And if they want to do something, because one of the problems is with the new water quality requirements, a lot of the fire districts aren't going to be able to meet those. And the result, there's a couple of ways of doing things. The installation of some type of a holding tank somewhere up off of, because a lot of them are off of Killington Avenue, Town Line Road, and you put in some kind of structure up there, and that's just maintained, and then it's gravity fed to all these systems or something. But, and we did talk to Robert a little bit, and I'm still not sure if might be some money, or there might be some look, as you know, that stuff he talked to us initially about, but there was some other stuff, so he's still out there looking to see if we can find some way to do this, but it's kind of looking like the town may have to get involved at some point with the
probably.
fire districts to help make this work.
Yep.
Just, you know, most of the distribution is there. It's just gonna be like eliminating wells and going to, but when you get into that area where a lot of the problems are, the elevation is such that the water pressure wouldn't be adequate, so you have to come up with either, and the ideal would be a reservoir above the system, and it would gravity feedback.
Okay.
But anyway, so those are things that we kicked around. And then we did talk about taking the mall out of Diamond Run Mall Place and just make it Diamond Run Place. Because it'll no longer be, but that was just a 911 thing and a little thing.
Okay.
It's not too critical, and Bill was gonna look into it, see if that would. Because it doesn't really, if the mall is gone, it really is not.
There's still a building there.
There's a building, but it's not, and it's not I don't think it's a correct determine or name for the place. I was thinking we just change it entirely, but anyway, but we can talk, you know, maybe
All right.
the folks that own it, but that's nothing too important. That was pretty much it.
The Otter Creek Engineering, is this something requiring our approval? Or do we do that already?
Or
We did it?
We've not done that.
Okay, this is the authorization to proceed. It's the emergency sewer replacement. It's authorizing Otter Creek to do our engineering for this. Final design and permitting, bid phase, construction phase.
I thought we did when we had them do it, but if we didn't,
Well, this is dated May 29th, so it was only a few days ago, their letter to us.
Authorization to proceed.
quite a ways into it to not.
Well, we might have said go ahead,
Yeah,
but
maybe
then
we
we
didn't do
need
it.
a document, so here's
So I
the
moved
document.
to authorize Otter Creek Engineering to provide the services they have outlined in their correspondence.
Okay, total budget is 81,500. It's for this project. Who would
Second.
you like to sign it?
Is it
You.
just one?
Yeah, it's just.
Mhm.
All right, then we'd authorize the board chair.
Okay,
Second.
motion's made and seconded to enter this contract with Otter Creek Engineering. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. And it's me to sign, which I am doing now.
So you guys dealing with Kevin's comments?
I have read, I didn't get quite through all of it. But like I said, as long as Robert's aware of those and when it comes, once the bidders can have a copy of what our concerns are, but we need to, the retainage thing would be the things, if it's 5% or 10%, we just need to make sure they don't standard is, I think we had a little bit of that.
Or a set should be permanently on file with Bill.
Do you want to, do we keep these here?
That's our set. Yeah.
That's our set,
Okay.
okay. But we'll just, all right, I've seen, I looked at it pretty good the other day, so.
Oh, did you guys talk about the force main coming off of Aspen Dental? To try
We did,
some of
and
that?
yeah, we did talk about it,
Okay.
and I think Robert was gonna go look into it more.
Okay,
To try to
good.
figure out, because that one,
A variety of
Solutions.
yeah,
Awesome.
they're trying to, there was that one manhole where the water that in the stuff is supposed to go across to now. The flow is, so the town has to go down. Once we relocate that, that problem's still gonna exist, so he's gonna try to see if there's some solution to make that work.
I was gonna bring that point up, but I missed the meeting.
Yeah, and we, that
Doing
Dave,
emergency sewer service in the city.
Dave
Staying
brought
in the
that up,
middle
so,
of
and I don't think I missed anything else. I think we got
We
everything.
got everything?
Did
Okay.
I miss anything, Dave?
That sounds like pretty much it.
Okay.
All right. Unless there's questions from other select board members, we'll let Dave go for the evening, and thank you very much.
Back into vacation mode. Thank you. Guys, have a good night.
All right.
Yep.
You too. Next up, Marcia Chioffi, Town Head Lister. And you have on the desk a letter dated June 1st, 2025 to us concerning the requirement that we reappraise. So, Marcia, you're aware of this, I would assume?
Oh, absolutely, I am. This was the letter that normally does not come out until July, but this year seems like the letters are all coming out in June. As you know, we did send out, I think it was 15 or 16 requests for proposal for reappraisal. We received no quotations whatsoever, none. So
When's the deadline?
May 22nd.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
And we can second guess why we're not getting any bids. But the only thing, well, right now we're just trying to get everything done so that we can lodge the grand list. After that, we will take hold of contacting all of the reappraisal firms, speaking with them, asking them why they chose not to bid on a reappraisal. But we have a feeling that because reappraisals firms are going out to late 2029 and 2030, no one is going to want to hold a price. But we've kind of talked about, well, maybe we can, speak with these firms and see what we can do going forward. The other thing on the other side of the notice to reappraise, Mary, is the response that we have to send to the state that has to be signed by the select board so that we can get it back to them. And that is
that's just we are acknowledging receipt of their order
correct.
to reappraise.
Correct. Yes.
Yep. So, all right, response must be signed by the chair of the legislative body of the municipality or their designee. What's your
So move.
which motion's been made Seconded.
Scribble away.
Further discussion? Nobody's gonna bail me out. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Alright, you'll be well retired by the time this comes around.
You know, that leads me to the front side of the letter,
And guess
which
what,
is,
guys? So will I.
so I just want to be clear, Marcia, are you planning on doing number 2, which is within 30 days, respond to this order to indicate receipt? Well, we're doing that part.
Right,
And
yeah, that's
intention
it right now. Yep.
Okay,
That's what we're
to,
doing.
but, okay, but the intention to develop a detailed compliance plan. And are you going to respond with the sample letter that you sent and the number of folks you sent it to?
Yes, we will, we will meet with, Christy Wright, our district, advisor, and, sit down with her, go over our, proposal, which actually the proposal that we sent out was based on quite a few other towns, and it was, we modified it for our own needs, but, we sent it out and, we'll contact these people and say, why did you not want to respond? Is there something that we can do to, help you, send us a request? But that, right now we're just anxious to get the grand list lodged. And it's a good thing that we went, to PV&R for an extension, because this year, as you all know, or maybe you don't, the utility valuations are being done by the state. The whole state of Vermont, other than Rutland Town, has received their valuations. We have not received them. I've been in contact with Christy Wright, our district advisor, and we've been told that we may get them this week, hopefully. The problem is, and we've been told this year after year after year, Rutland Town is different than any other municipality in the state of Vermont, because Velco is home base, as is Green Mountain Power. So there is a state assessor, Brian Fogg, who does all of the assessments for the state of Vermont. We have been looking at a thread of all the other towns that have received their valuations, and it does not look good at all. We have to apply the CLA as per the Supreme Court decision back in, I think it was 1999, where the CLA has to be applied to the valuations that we get from the state. In past years, we've done our own valuations, and it's been working out great with both Green Mountain Power and Velco. I have received the business personal property from both GMP and Velco, so that has been already entered into our systems. However, we still don't know when we're going to get the valuation from the state for both GMP and Velco. There's a lot of people, a lot of towns that are extremely upset about what is happening with the valuations in these small towns that the townspeople are going to have to absorb through tax increases, tax rate increases.
So what you're saying is the valuations are coming through at a lower value than what the towns had on them?
Correct. And not only that, we've had to apply the CLA, which, as you know, is 72.91 in Rutland Town. So it's, You know, I don't want to be the bearer of doom and gloom because we haven't gotten our valuation from the state yet. But, you know, I will absolutely keep you informed as soon as we get those values. We're still working on business personal property because they're coming in very late. We have 256 accounts that Kathy and I are working on. It's been tough trying to, you know, get all of these values in, especially when you've got the Home Depots and the Staples and the Hannafords, and you know, you're looking at Stowe. I went through 38 pages of equipment for Stowe Industries because no one has deleted or paid attention to equipment since probably, I think it was 1999. All of that has to be deleted and new equipment has to be entered. So it's been a learning curve for sure.
I'm going to ask Bill to put on our next meeting agenda the follow-up of our report to PVNR for our plan to come into compliance. And it's going to basically say, hey, we sent out for bids and nobody responded.
Right.
And step number 2 is, I don't know what's to, but so I'm going to have, so that'll remind us we need to do that because we do have to respond within 30 days. The date of the letter is June 1st and our next meeting is just over, well,
17.
Well, our next meeting is fine, but if we waited for a whole, month, we'd be too close.
But the letter that you sign, I can actually get that off. You know, if you sign it tonight, I can get that off tomorrow.
I did.
Yeah. Okay.
It's all signed.
All right. Good. Then
Okay,
that
very
we can
good.
do. And as I stated, we're scurrying to get the grand list lodged so that we can, you know, we can schedule grievance hearings. Hopefully, it'll be little or none. Let's hope. And then we will have time, you know, going forward in July to contact all of our bidders and just speak with them and say, you know, what is it that you want from us that we can give you to help you give us a bid? And then, of course, if we do get something and we look at the bids, we will, of course, review them with the board and hopefully, you know, lock in a date and time that we can do this. There's been another 155 towns that have had to reappraise this year.
Yeah.
Some of them.
Well, our compliance schedule is probably going to be annually until we have at least 3 companies bidding.
Absolutely.
We will send out bids again and until we get closer to the due date. So I don't think it's going to be terribly complicated as long as they know A, we've already reached out, and B, we're going to do it every year until somebody responds.
That's right. Yep, we will.
Okay.
And,
all right. Any questions?
And we will meet with Christy Wright, and she will be working with us as soon as we get our PVR evaluations for our utilities. So
okay.
Hopefully this
very
week,
good.
Not next week, but we'll see. Keeping
right.
our fingers
Any other
crossed. Maybe they'll be lenient with us and give us a higher appraisal of the GMP and Velco properties. But I don't hold out much
we'll see
help for that. Yeah.
All right. Anything further for Marcia? Thank you, Marcia, very much.
You're welcome. Yep.
Nothing else? Okay. Thank you. Have a good rest of your evening.
You too. Good night.
Good night. Now I had an email that Chris Clark was out of town, so would not be calling in. And we'll turn then to Kari Clark, Town Clerk and Treasurer. Good evening.
Hi there again. Let's see. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I don't have anything to really report tonight. There's a few things on your desk that do require signatures. On behalf of Chris, he has 2 applications for firefighters. Did he end up emailing you, Mary? He said he was going to.
I almost think I had something on the desk.
Yeah, I put 2 of the applications there.
Yeah, it's just a matter of getting through the pile. We also have, here we are. Okay. We do. We have 2 applications. One was for Aiden Austin, Robert Jenkins, who lives on the East Pittsford Road. And he is applying, and the applicant's signature is here. And the second is for Chase Purington, who is Center Street in Rutland. So he looks like a city. The other looks like a town. Is there a motion?
Approve.
Motion's been made to approve these 2 firefighters.
Second.
And seconded. Any discussion or questions that we can't answer because I don't know, but
I'm sure they did all.
Yeah,
He's
I'm
done
sure
this
they
enough.
did.
He's got all the
Yes.
proper
Yes.
paperwork done.
Okay.
I know that the police did the background checks and he's made contact with them. I think they've even come to visit, and I think this was the last step to just have a
Okay.
signature.
Right. So all in favor of approving these 2 people as firefighters, please say aye. Aye. Motion carries 5-0 and everybody gets to sign.
Thank you. I'll let them know about that. And then I noticed that the copy that we keep in the office for the onset of the next audit that you signed that last time. There's a copy that we both need to sign to keep in the office, so I left that on your desk as well.
With a big yellow sticky that says, please sign this copy. Okay, do we already authorize? And we did at our last meeting. I think we
Yes.
authorized the hiring of AM Peisch to do our audit. So, and I think, was I at that time authorized to sign on behalf of the board?
Sounds about right.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
Sounds
Yes,
probably-
your original is in my office.
Okay.
And
Sounds oddly
then
suspicious.
I believe the next thing that I left there was the infamous dog warrant
Oh, yes.
that the select board signs and I hand over to the police department with the lovely language.
All right. This is the
The one that happened was never signed.
warrant to destroy unlicensed dogs, and it's a directive from the select board to our chief and deputy chief. And it's a page, almost 2 pages of animals that haven't been re-registered. I'm relieved to see that my animal is not on the list. It's good to know. So, what's your pleasure with this?
We have a choice.
We have to do this.
I think so.
I don't know, I've never signed it.
State law require it.
Yeah.
Or
By the
There's a-
authority of
there's
the
a-
state of Vermont, you are hereby commanded forthwith to impound and
Forthwith, I
destroy
guess we.
in any humane way or cause to be destroyed in a humane way all dogs not duly licensed and collared according to law.
I think you can come put me in cuffs for not signing it.
State law.
They can come put
Well, let
me
me
in
just
cuffs
put
for
it
not
this way.
signing it.
We do need 3. We should have 3 people.
State
willing to
law
sign it.
direct us to this one.
What are we going to do about unlicensed dogs then?
I'll send people more warnings that they ignore. Fines. I don't know.
Anybody goes and
I guess they should have the authority and exercise their discretion accordingly. So
not a tasteful
No, it's
decision to
not.
have to make.
It's not.
But to this
But
point, I
just
don't.
remember what happened when that kid was bitten over at Dewey Field, and we were able to get some information. And I was bitten several years back, and I was able to get information
I
that the
think it's
dog was registered
important
and had
that
rabies.
dog
So
owners have their dogs rabies shots and have that information on file. I mean, but I still don't like the idea that the board has to say, well, if we find out your dog wasn't registered, then we can have it put down. That's always been a little distasteful.
Yeah.
So I'm not hearing anyone stepping up to make the motion to approve this.
Who wants that in the minutes?
But of course, as chair, I shouldn't be making motions.
Okay.
That's the one out I get, right?
I guess
Oh,
I'll make the
we'll bail
motion.
you out, man.
I'll move to approve it.
All right, Matt's moved
Do
to
that again.
approve. Is there a second?
I'll second it. I know we have to do it.
Motion's made and seconded. Is any further discussion other than nobody likes this, but all in favor of approving, however reluctantly, this warrant, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So there's a nay and a nay?
Hey,
Okay, all right.
They'll be coming looking for me and Matt and Mary. I think if the chief was here, he would tell you that they haven't
never
had to
do.
do this.
I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure he said he wouldn't do it because it's a pretty easy way to get shot.
just-
The
He,
whole system of government is collapsing
Yeah,
around our
you show up
ears.
to take the
people.
wrong person's dog. That may not go
the,
good.
So everybody has
Uh,
signed the fire thing.
there's-
Firefighters, okay? And this
It's
is
just
going-
dog owners took a little responsibility. I mean, there's
I
people
know,
that
but-
have concerns about registering your dog, but if it's part of the process of owning it, it's a cost of ownership.
There is a cost of ownership.
It's like thousands of dollars in vet bills for the cows.
Okay, well, Kari, you've got us all stirred up, but we've got 3 signatures on the warrant. So what's next?
Excuse me. There really wasn't anything next. Honestly, I know that the contacts for the dogs are strictly, I think they deal with it really well. The police officers do. But it does stink that the language is so harsh. But thank you for signing it. I mean, it's not that I wanted it signed. I think we had to do it. So hopefully more people
Okay.
will register in the years coming up. So, but I really don't have anything other than if you have any questions.
Anything for Kari from the select board? Okay. Thank you, Kari. Appreciate it.
Welcome. Have a good night.
You too.
Thank you.
Mike Delehanty, first constable, not on the line. Joe Denardo, public safety building clerk.
There's nothing new to report. I did ask the PD while they were here. They seemed everything done. I know Ted said that they have remedied the hole in the wall in the evidence room. They took care of that, came up with a plan. We're still waiting on the transfer switch. And I want to talk with Gary about, I have an idea for the public safety building sign out front
Okay.
that I want to run by him. And the idea would be to take those letters off and purchase the same letters that are on the tower, but put them not on the building physically, but on a signboard, something that would be attached
So
to
you
the
can
building,
attach it to the building.
so that we can ensure that. And I want to see what his thoughts on that. So, because I think of that whole thing, the color, the logo, everything, that has generated the most negative feedback. It's who the heck designed that? So, but the lighting out there was not designed to light the sign.
Right.
That was just not, anyway, so that's what I'm working on. Otherwise, everything looked pretty good.
Yeah.
I wasn't here
Oh,
last week, but
speaking of which,
the open house went well.
yeah, we received a letter from Ina M. Sears, who came to our open house, toured the building with a firefighter named Adam. And she was wonderfully pleased with everything. And she said what a wonderful station it is and it was worth every penny. So, yeah, circulate it. So
We got one, please.
yeah, we got an add a guy's letter. So thank you very much for writing.
God, this lady has really nice handwriting.
I know.
I can even read this.
Okay. Anything else, Joe? For
Nope, I'm all
public
set.
safety. Okay.
Yep.
John Paul Figment is not on. Barbara Noyce Pulling, Town Planning Commission Chair.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So just one thing, this is something the Town Planning Commission's been working on for a while, the subdivision ordinance. And a couple meetings ago, I mentioned to you folks that we had spoken with the town attorney. And he had told us that we have some problems with the subdivision ordinance, no matter how much we try to change it. So, you know, some of that's whether it can be enforced or not. So the Planning Commission is wondering if the Select Board would be willing to invite Kevin Brown to tell you what he told the Planning Commission about his review of the subdivision ordinance. And we could do this as a joint meeting or a special meeting or however you want it. But they wanted to make that request to you folks. That would help us figure out how to go forward with this. Because there's several ways we can. But we would like the Select Board to have as much information as we have about this.
So Barbara and I spoke about this briefly today, and I think, first of all, the Planning Commission has done a lot of hard work and they put a lot of time into this. And I think we want to hear what they have to say, but we also want to hear what town attorney has to say about this and directions we can take or not, and give our feedback to the Planning Commission so they have some direction. So I'm perfectly willing, and I think we could like dedicate the first half hour of one of our Select Board meetings coming up. The next one may be fairly busy because we've got the end of the year or the things to do before the end of the year, and we just added a few things to that list. How is July 1st? That's a month away. Are there, I guess we need to find out if Kevin Brown's available because he's the primary player. And then whether we have members of the Planning Commission who would care to join us.
We want to start at 5:30.
Actually, that might be better. Starting at 5:30. So
Here until midnight.
yeah. Yeah. And then we could go into our regular meeting at
Do that first.
at 6. Yeah. Okay. So why don't you sound out your folks, and I'll ask Bill to be in touch with Kevin to see, and I've got to talk with him anyway. So let me
Like
just
to be in person.
um
Was in person for the planning commission meeting.
yeah.
His
When's the last time he was in person here?
his convenience. I think, you know, if he's busy, then no, but it's more important that he's here
Okay.
somehow.
All right. So we'll
What I can do.
thank you very much. All right. So and again, thank the Planning Commission for all of the work they've put into this. And I know it has been a lot. That's why I haven't gone near you guys, because I would hear about it.
That's probably smart.
Anything else for Barbara? Oh, and thank you also for your review of the Demolition Act 250 amendment application from BAI, and you got to that quickly and we appreciated it. So
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, and I don't think we need to do anything else with the municipal questionnaire.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, it should just be department heads. So yeah, okay.
Yep. We just
That part of that, I find that interesting that they want to know if tearing that down is going to create an issue for us. I understand a new construction and new building,
Yeah.
but you're removing all this problem. And we still have to fill that portion out. I find that just.
Well,
but I
it's
guess
an
it's just-
amendment to an existing,
I-
and I
I-
mean, think of the demolition debris. They did address it very well in
Yeah,
their, but if they hadn't, where would we be?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't expect them to tear it down and leave it in a pile up there.
Yeah, well,
And I don't, and I just found it interesting. But I've never been involved with the demolition of a building going through Act 250.
Yeah.
It's usually construction.
Yeah.
And we're usually so eager that, like, sure, put it up yesterday. Anyway,
Mary, should a copy be made of this and given to the fire chief?
I think that's a very, well, fire and police.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's their building. So, yes, please, Bill, we're gonna put the letter in the green folder, and if you could make a copy, this is from Ina M. Sears, if you could make a copy for each fire and police chief, we'd appreciate that. Okay. Thank you. And thank you, Barbara.
Okay.
And we'll visit with you when we've got something set up. So thank you for that.
Discuss
Okay.
Demetria.
Oh, yeah, sorry, go ahead. What was that?
The letter of interest regarding town planning commission and regional commission.
Yes, while you're on, we do have a person who is interested in serving on the regional commission. We have appointed Jim Marsh as the primary. And this is Demetrio Colosius Gagnon. He lives on Lola Drive in Rutland Town. He has a background in transportation. And he expressed interest in, did he say, I know it was,
anybody that wants the job and they're willing to come forward, I can't see how we could possibly deny that.
okay, so there's two alternate positions, one on the Town Planning Commission, because that Jim Hall retired and we didn't fill that position. And also on the Regional Commission. Jim's our primary, and we need somebody to serve as alternate. What's your pleasure? Yes.
There's another transportation position within that planning commission.
Is it TAC?
Yes.
Okay. That's the transportation area.
Is that the one that Jason wanted to do?
Do we appoint Jason to that?
We did.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That has an alternate too, I believe.
Have we ever filled the alternate position on that? I'm not sure.
Not very long.
Yeah. Okay. So what's your pleasure?
I said, if anybody willing to take a job comes to us, we would be foolish to turn them down.
Okay.
I was
Planning
thinking of
Commission
you.
Alternate and Rutland Regional Board of Commissioners alternate.
Told my wife.
I think he came.
Unanimously voted in. So that's great. It says, well, that was preceded by the comment. If he wants it, give it to him.
He came to a board meeting once.
Yes, he
right?
did.
Yeah.
He sat in back
Yep.
and he, started speaking on a transportation thing. And
Yeah,
I mean,
we
we sort of
don't-
said, we don't usually, but go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
I do recall.
yeah. What's your pleasure?
Move to a point.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to appoint as alternate to the Rutland Town Planning Commission and alternate to the Rutland Regional Planning Commission.
2 for 1.
Sure.
I know, kind of. Wait till he finds out. Jim can tell him what it's like when he shows up here. All right, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. So if you would let Mr. Colosius Gagnon know.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Have a TAC alternate. We got Jason's on here, but we still have a vacancy for the alternate position.
For TAC.
Yeah.
Well, if he wanders in
I'll start at
again.
2 and go from there. Like,
Yeah, we'll start at 2.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so you have a new member, if he
Thank
accepts it.
you. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Anything else for Barbara? If not, thank you. Have a good rest of your evening.
Okay. You
All
too.
right. Bill Sweet, Town Administrator.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So yes, I will get in touch with him and see how many more things he wants to do for us. You have on your desk, you have a letter from Mr. Franzoni.
Oh, yes.
He couldn't attend tonight, so he sent you a letter, and it's the very top one there, Sharon. And there also is that kind of corresponds with number 1 in your packet.
Right. Matt Getty drafted the Rutland Town version of the resolution condemning attacks on due process and affirming constitutional rights of all people in Rutland Town. So what are you giving us, Matt?
So I didn't create a red line here, and I don't have the original in front of me, but I think essentially what I did was change. This was based on the version that was adopted by the city, and I changed the references to the city to the town. I deleted, I believe it was the last 2 paragraphs of the original, part of which, as I recall, was, some language inviting police chief or other police officers to sign on individually, and I felt like that was not something we should be putting them in the position of doing. That we're the policy setting body here, and we would make the decision and pass on that policy accordingly. But that was essentially the gist of the changes, I believe.
Okay. So is there a motion?
I'll move that we approve this as edited.
Okay. Motion's been made. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion's made and seconded. Discussion. As I've said in previous meetings, Matt and I both take oaths to uphold the Constitution. So this is, we're already there. We have to as lawyers. And due process is an important part of it. You ready for the vote? If so, all in favor of adopting the resolution, please say aye.
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 Aye. Aye. Sharon, yes? Kurt?
Opposed.
Okay. Motion carries 4-1. And we could just circulate this. And then we can sign it. You're going to have to.
Did you want, I didn't know if you wanted a copy on letterhead for you all to sign. Which I can do
Well,
for
it
next
does
week.
relate to Rutland Town. I can just put a note here that says adopted by Rutland Town Select Board 6/3/25. Okay, that's circulating.
All right.
What's next?
The next item in the list is review the offer to purchase town property, which is number 2 in the packet.
So you will recall an adjoining property owner. Mr. Ruggiero is offering to purchase the 29 acres. That we received, I think ultimately was it a tax sale?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, what's your pleasure with this? It's purchase price is $20,000. and he gives his reasons for wanting to do it. Frankly, in no hurry. We had a proposed purchaser in the past, and that deal fell through. If we propose to sell this, we do have to go through a process of warning it in the newspaper so people, know what we're doing, and going through that process in case somebody wishes to object.
I don't know. I think it's a halfway fair purchase price for a piece of land that's mostly wetland, landlocked. And I think we'd have a hard time selling it
What was
elsewhere.
What was owed on it? We got it for the taxes, right? That's how we ended up with this property, with the tax set,
Yeah,
and we ended up with it.
yeah, and there's, yeah, so.
Does this offset what was owed?
I believe it is. I believe it does, but I'd have to pull out the numbers again. It's about 2
guess-
years ago now that we went through it.
Yeah, but I don't know.
I
I
don't,
mean, it's not something that's a hot item,
nope,
no.
My eyes get it back on the tax roll.
there's no guarantee that anything's gonna happen with it. So,
Whether the taxes will be paid.
right.
Well,
Well,
that's
there's always that possibility, yes.
we'll get $20,000 and we'll get it back.
There we go. Taxes don't get paid, we get
We also,
it.
I don't think we've approached any of the adjoining, other than the one who made the bid,
Yeah.
the adjoining property owners. There are other abutters to
There's
it,
a
right?
few.
There are a few abutters.
There's a couple. Yeah.
Is there access to it?
Well,
Since
John claims that the only access is through his property. So,
Kinda.
And I,
To the decent part, like, if you're to come in from the Route 7 side, you're gonna have to deal with wetland permits to try to get some sort of access in there. Yeah.
and it. I can't remember, I know it borders on some of the other land, like up almost in back of Max.
Borders max.
And borders.
yeah,
Yeah, so.
But that's all the wetland side.
yeah. Does it border the,
Trying to think who's.
The
behind
armory?
it.
No,
Okay.
no, Max is south of here.
all right,
It might border. I don't know if, is that the land across from Noble? That runs up back,
Yeah.
but I don't know if that goes far enough up back.
Yeah, that
would
goes to it.
to it, so there'd be
still,
two there.
what, Pistols and Roses, I think, unless, or did they,
Yeah, I thought that was.
This little Rose owns the property in the front.
okay.
Yeah.
Right, so, well, it sounds to me like based on the
So,
questions. we
Well,
could-
my question is, he's made us this offer.
Yeah,
What's our price? Usually when you're negotiating, I mean, he's made us an offer of 20 grand. What do we want?
Probably be best going to executive session for that.
yeah, we probably should. However, I don't have those numbers and I think we need to pull out the old
I
information.
think
that we had.
before we approve
We-
this, I think we should see what the numbers are.
We need to know what the numbers are.
Yeah, and we kind of need to figure out the next steps and how we go about accepting an offer like that.
Yeah, because there
Yeah,
is
there's
a
a-
process
there's
that
a
we
whole
didn't go
process, yeah.
through.
You know, it's not like we advertised it.
Right.
You
And,
know,
and
this bid came to us, you know, we didn't advertise it to everybody, so
I think that
probably has to get re-advertised.
I think we do.
Yeah.
So, let's get information, put it on the agenda if you would,
Got
please,
it.
for the next meeting.
I'll dust off the email from Kevin.
I
on
know
how we did it
Mark's
last time.
not interested. He called me the other night.
Yeah,
Said I asked him
yeah,
and he said no.
okay, but let's get the information together and take it up at our next meeting. Yeah,
it's not like this is really burning.
it is not for me anyway. Okay, so,
All set.
all right.
Yep.
What's next?
On your desks, you have from Mary, the copy of the updates to the regional land use map.
Okay, it's a 2-pager. One is pretty colored, and if you look closely, there are 1, 2, 3 little
B's and C's.
areas designated where we think the regional future land use map boundary should be changed or extended. The first one is way down south end of town. And we said, just take the transitional infill area and extend it all the way down to the Clarendon town line. The second one is over in different one over in Flory Heights, saying you've put this in transitional infill. It's really not, it's all residential. So please return it to a residential designation. And C is, I think I got this right, but correct me if I'm wrong. The property across from Rutland Town School on the south side of Post Road, which we think should be marked as transitional infill as well.
I think those are the things we discussed.
Did I get them right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Pretty good to me.
all right. So
What's the next step?
we file it with Logan
Logan?
Solomon Regional Planning Commission. How about if you guys authorize me to do this?
So move.
One time I'm actually
Second.
asking. Okay. All right, motion's been made to authorize me on behalf of the select board to send these comments and requests for revisions into the Rutland Regional Planning Commission.
And are we on time?
Yes, because we got an extension, because Mary was had too much on her plate there for a while.
We asked nicely and we were.
We were granted it an extension.
The
so-
one thing after thinking about the post road thing, you might want to just add because of its accessibility to town water and sewer. Kind of an explanation as to why we think that should be.
It is. Okay, done. All right, all in favor of sending this in, please say aye.
I,
Aye. Okay, motion carries 5-0, and I'll get that filed.
Let's see, the next thing on the agenda is updates to the street sidewalk ordinance. There was some comments that Kevin had that he and I have not had a chance to connect back up on, so it's nothing major, but we want to get it done, so that's just gonna move on. The next you have in your packet is the updated quote for the cascade system.
Yes, you may recall that when we met with the fire committee before the last meeting, and there are minutes in the packet, we looked at whether it was possible to purchase the cascade system with what was in the fire budget and in the depreciation fund.
I don't think you'd be able to use the depreciation.
Oh, that's probably, okay.
Yeah, because if we had a previous system, we could.
capital improvement.
Capital improvement,
improvement,
all
yeah,
right,
right,
that's, okay.
So
The purchase, and we didn't know the exact purchase price or whether the bid was still good. Well, it appears the bid is still good,
Yeah.
valid through 7/20/25 in the amount of $88,584.40. This would be in part paid for by some donations we have received, which I believe is in the vicinity of $13,500. It would also include what looks like the department would have as unexpended budgetary funds, somewhere around maybe $30,000, somewhat less probably at the end of this year. And the balance would come from the capital improvements fund, which based upon what we saw from Kari and the amount coming in from the 1% tax, we should be okay with.
So do we do this now or do we do it? I mean,
We have time because the bid is
I'm
good
just
for
wondering that
into
it will be
July.
close because it's always the same thing with the fire. That money will roll into the capital improvement fund on the 1st of July, so it's not lost out of their budget,
I'd be
any
more-
excess.
I'd be more comfortable doing it after then when we know for certain what our balance is.
I think if we've got time, I support using the capital improvement fund to do it. I just like, we're this close to the end of the year, we could have some,
A little more certain.
more idea what the new number will be based on what's goes
Well-
back and what the final tax payment is.
I don't and I'm fine with that because we have time. My concern would be we may not know right after the close of the fiscal year, how much is really in there. You'll
No.
recall, we waited quite a while to
Yeah,
The other
I
really
mean,
thing-
solidify
there'll
that.
be a,
Yeah,
I think Carrie will have,
but we'll be a little closer to know.
she'll have a number that may not be perfectly accurate, but it won't be so far off that we'll give her.
Right,
And I'm
Okay.
okay with that, but I think that's a good plan.
all right.
Looking like it's probably gonna be like a July 15th vote then, probably. Cause I doubt she's gonna have that paperwork together on the first.
Yeah, that gives us 5 days.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
We can approve it the 15th and they can get it
Um,
ordered that week.
When is it that we have our tax rate discussion?
After,
August.
it's late July, when we have a, yeah,
Carrie's gone, so she would,
yeah.
I don't know, when does that last payment usually come in?
I mean,
We got it.
we got it.
All right, so are we over?
Yes.
We're
We
over on the
do-
1%.
Huh?
On the 1%?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we know what that amount is?
I don't know, you had she
It'd
gave
be
it to
in
you
that
last,
here-
last
here
week,
last
or
week.
last
Yeah, I
meeting.
missed
I
last
think it
week's
was
meeting.
200,000.
Over?
Yeah.
Yeah, 150, 200,000. It wasn't.
Put a note on it that
It
says
wasn't-
keep this, now I can't find it.
Well, maybe, I don't know. It wasn't a knockout of the ballpark, but we had money.
No,
It
but
was-
that usually ends up into that fund
Yes.
because we aren't over anywhere else. It would only offset if an overture in the police budget, if that happened. Pat,
The police budget was, after our review today, was looking pretty good.
I think we're okay.
Yeah.
So technically the money will be there because that's usually
290.
290.
Over?
Yeah.
Well,
Good enough.
You
right,
could almost approve that, but if you guys are more comfortable, we could wait.
what's your pleasure?
Well, I think another discussion. I'm not sure these things are mutually exclusive, but last year I believe we used some of that money to pay down on one of the bonds. And I think that's a discussion we should be having again as well. So,
Yeah.
All right, so do you want to do July 1st or wait until July 15th for the vote on the Cascade system?
Yeah. We'll know more after next meeting, I guess.
All right.
I mean, we can ask Carrie.
Did you get rid of those caramels and now it's stuck in your
It's
teeth?
Jolly Rancher.
Yeah. So we could probably, by July 1st, we should have.
Okay.
Some
Yeah.
idea where we're
Let's
at.
do this. Let's stick it on our agenda for July 1st.
I mean, any
Cascade, and
money,
then-
any expenditure out of the capital improvement, whatever we use it for, we have to vote on, so.
Yes.
We'll know at that point.
And the next meeting, we're gonna be we're voting on the, keeping the Cortina fund separate.
Right.
So, yeah.
You have to do that before the end, yeah.
Okay, so tell the fire guys, please not to despair. We have a plan and we're working toward it.
Coming.
All right.
Okay, the next thing we have is, on the list is there's a secondary printer in the clerk's office and its contract is up. And number 4 is the agreement for the new machine.
Well, so I'm familiar with the one for the land records. Which one is this?
This is between Susan and Deb. They have one on their desk. This is a color machine, but they use for smaller things, but they use it quite a bit.
This is big.
It's the same as what they have. It's a new version of what they have. It was,
All right.
I mean, that one's 4 years old at this point, so.
Now, we just proved that it's like 4 years, right?
I know. Seems like just yesterday.
Yep.
All right, what's your pleasure?
Move to approve.
Motion
Second.
made and seconded to approve the purchase of, is it purchase or a long-term?
Elise.
Leaf.
It's a monthly service contract and it's a lease.
Yes.
All right. Any further discussion? And looky there, printed name, authorized signature. And has Kari and Susan looked at this?
They know about it, yes.
Okay. And they're satisfied with the terms? It
Mhm.
fits within their budget and all of that good stuff?
It is.
All right. Is there? Let's see, motion's been made and seconded. I did that, right? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Who is to sign?
Mary.
Forgot that part.
Yeah.
Motion to have me sign, seconded by Kurt. All in favor, please say aye.
All right, there it
Aye.
is.
Okay.
The next item in your packet is the agreement with North Star Fireworks for our display. There is no rain date included because there was no option to the townwide celebrations either that day or it's
Right.
not. So we didn't put in a,
Move to approve and authorize the chair to sign.
So if we need a rain date, could we do it down on my farm?
That could,
Yeah, I mean, so if it
Motion's been
doesn't-
made and
if-
seconded.
If we get rained out, just have them deliver the fireworks. And we'll figure out what to do.
Oh, God.
Farm, yeah.
I mean, you guys have done them.
Just bring them over, drop them off. We'll figure it out.
So seriously, what does happen?
We do New
we
Year's.
don't.
Could do New Year's fireworks.
So if they just don't do it, we don't pay them anything.
If there's no display, there's no payment.
Okay.
Well, that's good.
Oh,
And
we
the
are
way the
doing this on
rain's
a
been
weekend,
going,
right? So the
It is
forecast
a
calls
weekend,
for
so
rain.
it's, I mean, about 85% chance it's gonna get rained out.
Why
So.
don't we reschedule it for a Wednesday?
Do we get reimbursement if it rains out? 'Cause
We-
the checks and the orders.
We have not had an issue with them
Yeah.
and the payment. Like,
Actually,
we
they
are,
haven't.
we are actually one of their longest customers,
Yeah.
so we don't have a problem.
We'll figure it out. We
Well,
could do
but
New
if they don't
Year's.
give us the money back, this will be the last.
It'll carry over.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
it's-
we'll
I
have
think-
one big show the next year.
And it'll be in, where are they out of?
North, Montpelier area.
Montpelier, yeah.
Yeah, Williamstown, I think.
One of the advantages of doing
I
it-
drove by the place.
Right in
one day.
it.
It's Montpelier.
And they stored,
I don't think they keep a lot stored until
no,
it's close to go time.
If we were to go back to scheduling this on the 4th, at some point, the advantage is you do then have townwide as a backup.
Yeah,
That's how we
that's right.
got to that situation, right? Because the 4th got rained out and we did the rain day on
Yes.
I remember that was
Oh,
the absolute worst thing I had to do was make the call to postpone the fireworks.
Yeah.
And people bitch, because of course it cleared up right after.
It did. Yep.
Yeah.
It did.
Yeah.
There was no good outcome for
There
that.
was
That was
none.
what it
you
was.
can't
So-
win. Some days you just can't win.
No, you really can't.
Okay.
Um, so we need to, do we do a
I
motion?
think we need an eye. We got first and a second.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
first and second, all to approve the North Star fireworks contract, please say aye
aye.
and have me sign on behalf.
Yep.
Aye.
And make the weather forecast.
And
Yeah, yeah.
Just, yeah,
Take
don't
the
put your
appropriate
signature
weather.
anywhere near anything to do with the weather.
gotcha.
That'll bite you long faster.
Oh,
than
man,
nothing.
it sure will.
The last thing that we haven't gone over is the town officials list. So we've got a few, we've been able to fill in a couple blanks tonight. That's pretty good. 3 in one night. That's excellent. The last page is some of our historical ones, and the tree warden actually is one that we do really actually use. Chris is willing to do it again. The other ones are more historical, but the tree warden is one we actually do want to have somebody in that role. So as far as the other ones go, we normally do these in March, and we're getting a little far away. So
The cemetery commissioners did vote to appoint Dakota Harvey for the commissioner seat. I think he's got to come over and do his oath.
Okay.
You found a victim.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep, he lives right around the corner.
Yeah. Yeah, he lives out there in the woods.
Yep.
Yeah. Nice fellow.
Yep, nice guy.
That seemed.
Had to go out there and tell him put his fire.
Oh, these are all annual, so.
Yes.
So we gotta do all those that are.
we haven't done any of them.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right, I move that we reappoint all these people in the red boxes on the last page.
Second.
Motion's
So,
made and seconded.
to the red
appoint
box.
Layer of coal, tree warden, pound keeper, inspector of wood, and 3 fence viewers. to the current incumbents. All in favor, please say aye.
I,
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. All right.
Excellent.
Takes care of that. Now,
Thank you.
backing up, Rutland Free Library, we did appoint Fern Fryer. Remember, we voted on that last meeting?
Well, we sent her name to them.
Oh, right, right,
Oh,
right.
for
Okay.
approval.
We're waiting for them to confirm
All right.
our
Actually,
recommendation.
I haven't heard, I don't know if they've actually voted, but I did hear that her name came from another source too, so they're probably
Odds are in her favor.
really good.
Okay. Well, that adds, I think, probably more names to the list tonight than any other time. So that's excellent. Thank you. That helps.
Okay.
And let's see, you have the budget status reports. And the last couple things. The door locks at the new public safety building were completed yesterday, and they are working as anticipated. So that's good. We're gonna try and get the highway garage ones done next week, and then we'll be all set. Joe had mentioned during the highway committee meeting, we talked about the name of Diamond Run Mall Place. I did talk to Tyler at the state E911 coordinator, and he has no issue if we want to just drop the word mall from it and make it Diamond Run Place. And that would be a little more generic than what we have now.
Well, my suggestion
Should we have asked the owner?
is wait.
They're interested.
Well, so if
Walmart place.
really there's no big objection to it, I was gonna talk to Attorney Greg and say, like, we want to time it because it does actually affect their applications. Because the name, they put the address down, and we don't want to inadvertently cause them
So,
Yeah.
how does
we
it
don't wanna screw 'em
work?
up.
How does it work when you have two entrances to the same place?
it's a loop. It's there. It starts at the north entrance. So the car wash is 50 Diamond Run Mall Place.
Okay.
Then
I just curious because they have
they're-
two, every place else has one.
Yeah.
So that's,
Well,
yeah.
like Roy Avenue is a loop, but so that there isn't it is accounted for in that there's an end, beginning and end. So it's
Theoretically, there should be another sign down at the 4-7 intersection that says Diamond Run Place.
if you like one, we
Well, no, because there isn't one.
I know a guy that can put one up. So
Yeah.
since we've got
One without, we don't put it in the state highway.
Well, actually, the state should put that one up.
Yeah, they should.
Yeah, V-Trans should put that up. I think they take care of the ones where it meets a state road. I think.
we can find that out.
Negative. So did we put one up by the car wash?
No.
But that meets the state road.
I don't know.
So this, I dealt with this on the Cedar Avenue thing. When the state paves the road and they replace signs, they replace them. And once they replace them, they are the town's responsibility for ever and ever and ever and ever until they pave again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And no matter how many times the car runs them over.
Doesn't matter.
You know, personally kind of like just take them all off and put
That's fine.
Diamond
And
Run and make.
Tyler's got no issue. There's no
But
issues with other
certainly
or-
would be fine to.
But
No, I'm-
since it affects
Yeah.
the owner,
Yeah,
we'll
so
ask him.
that's what I said. I was gonna talk to Dave and be like,
Maybe they want a new name.
well, we
Walmart
thought
place.
about that as but making it generic, just kind of for that reason. But
Yeah.
the other thing was if we take just the word mall out, it would likely have a very small impact on messing up deliveries.
Right.
Because delivery drivers are gonna see it, they're gonna go, it's not gonna cause a problem.
Yeah.
It would become more generic and
We could
the
just
change
tell
can
them-
happen in like 24 hours. So if we just if they'd said, hey, yeah, we want to do it, make it effective like August 1st, be perfect, we can have it set in there. So July 31st, it's one name, August 1st is another name, and it's done. So we could do that. So it's a very easy thing to do, but it seemed like it was a good idea to make the change now versus when things are really underway. So
Okay.
I've got a few projects in Northwood to get done. I got to help Mike with some things, I help Dave with some things. So I'm going to try and get those done before the pool opens. So I'll be in and out of here. But other than that, I think there's a lot going on. But we've got a lot, we're moving in a good direction. So that is everything that I have.
So how did you make out with the lot? Information dissemination problem? Have we figured that out?
The, what do you mean specifically?
It was supposed to be a certain dollar figure per lot.
Yes, that's done.
And,
Figured out.
and did we agree
Yes.
to what we said?
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. We
I knew you were
Yes.
pulling your hair out, trying
It
to figure
was-
out why
we-
they would change it.
it is, we got it. It's, yeah.
Very good. And those are all programmed at the.
They are all programmed. They are all, we were there last night for the meeting and everybody there got tested it out. So it worked out well.
Did you remove the contractor code out of it?
There are no generic codes
In that
in
one?
the door locks
Okay.
anymore,
Okay. Very good.
anywhere.
And maybe that defeats the whole purpose of having these locks.
It does. So and what's interesting is that this, with the way these work now is I can get real-time reports. If someone puts in a code that's invalid, it comes up as an attempt was made to open the door, date and time and location. So I know what day, what time and what door was tried to be accessed. So we've already come up with some codes that were out there that shouldn't have been out there that were trying to be used and didn't work. So, yeah, it's interesting.
Cool.
Yeah. Oh, I will also be out next Monday. I won't be here Monday. But, on that.
All right, Highway Committee, you met. Is there anything else that?
No, we just, that was
We
everything.
covered it all?
That's
Okay.
pretty good.
Right. Police Committee, we shared with you what we did earlier today. Let's see, we did the Regional Planning Commission map. We did the Diamond Run Mall. Anything else on our action item list that we need to attend to? When we did the clerk's office printer. Any other new items, Select Board? Okay.
Oh, the public safety building.
Huh?
And we talked a little bit about that. Do we want to think, I don't know, put something up there to discourage people from turning around in that parking lot? I don't know how. I mean, you put signage, I'm gonna talk again with Ted and, if we can notice damage or something there, now that we have security systems in place, we could find out who is turning around. When Mr. Twitters was open, the tractor trailers, that's where they turned around.
Oh, okay.
And a lot of the damage to the parking lot prior to the new building was caused by delivery trucks turning around up there. So I don't know if we need to put something up.
I think so.
I don't know if you can stop them, though.
You can't,
Yeah.
but
I mean, it's frankly, I'd rather have them turning around there than on the public road.
I
But-
prefer they didn't turn around either.
Well, yeah.
No, I mean, now that Twitters is not there, you're not gonna have 45-foot trailers trying to make a U-turn. But I'll tell you that the right time of year, that's gonna make a mess out of that driveway. And I don't know who drove through there because I can tell it was dual wheels and they were dirty,
Yeah.
but wow, oh boy. It didn't rip the pavement up, but there are a few scars on that, and it's been cold enough and God knows it's been wet enough. That should be pretty cured, but just something to think about.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, if a big truck turns around there and rips it up and the PD's got it on, if we know it.
Send him a bill.
And we can kind of keep an eye, so it'll be up, I'm gonna talk to Ed about just. That'd be maybe when you guys come to work in the morning and a driveway looks like it's been torn up, go review
Mhm.
what's going on.
Yeah.
Cause now that we have a permanent, before there was nobody there.
Yeah.
So now you got somebody there 5 days a week.
Right.
We should be able to eliminate some. of
First
that.
new driveway in 45 years.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I'd like to at least get through one summer.
It has considerably more road base under it than the old one.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
They should hold up a lot
Speaking
longer.
of the police, I worked with Consolidated. They are ready to change us over to the background that we need. I have reached out to the manufacturer of the hardware device that we need to configure to get the plan we need to do before we do anything. So that way I have somebody, so I'm working on scheduling a time talk with them. So we're moving forward, but I'm waiting to hear back from the company about how we configure it and how much time it's going to take. And that could be a whole day of work.
speaking of coming close to the end of the fiscal year, if there are any other things that need to be dealt with, like the Cortina Fund, our next meeting is the time to do it.
Okay.
So just keep that in mind. All right, it looks like we've gone through everything. I have no need of an executive session. Is anybody else?
Adjourn.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 5-0. Thank you, everybody.
Oh.